Remember last week's share? Remember basically? Basically, okay. It's a heavy share last week in Psalm, and I'm going to continue. Really, we're in take 9, and we're going to continue this. There's some very interesting concepts, very unusual concepts that come out from what we've been saying. We've been saying a very important thing. Is it too noisy at all?
No, it's fine. It's good.
Oh, that's noisy?
Yeah.
Fine.
No, I leave it up to stay there.
Well, he's got the back door, okay. We've been saying very critically that what? That the whole reason why the Rebbeinu Shalom created the world, there was no other reason, and this would never be here. Make no mistake about it. If the Rebbeinu Shalom did not have certain specific cheshbonos, meaning reasons of his to create this, we would not be here. I would not be talking to you, and you would not be listening. None of us, the entire universe and all existence would not be here. And we have said that the central reason, again, why everything was created is in the word. If you remember this word, hatova, means the desire of God to be a benefactor, to do good. Now we will not analyze that. We analyze it somewhat lessons, and in the future, we will analyze that much deeper. This is a very deep concept. What does that mean? Hatava. So for our purposes, at this point, this is the reason. You want to be native to create good for that which is outside of him. So what God did was create a recipient to receive that good. We went into this last time. I'm not going to go into this again. We said that there was a very big problem with the recipient. Does anyone have any questions from last time that he wants me to review again? Well, not from last time. Does anyone have any questions from last time at all? Any confusion? Questions that he wants to be crystallized? No? Okay, I assume you all understand it. There was a test at the end of the class. Okay.
No.
I want you to know, I'll tell you very honestly, all kidding aside, I'm very tempted to give a test. Why? Not that it means anything, there's no course, I'm sorry.
My eye just failed.
I tell you why. Why the reason I'm telling I tell you what the reason is for. The reason is not because I want to give you guys a hard time. Anyway, as we said before, the fundamental purpose of creation is hatava, meaning from the word tov, means to do good. Now, we said that the recipient who does good is the neshama, and that's the recipient that was created. Fine. This is the major recipient. Good. Should I put vowels there? You can read it without vowels. Four vowels. Four vowels? Okay. Small request. Sorry. We said that there was a very big problem with the neshama, major problem, called Nam V'Tzufa. Nam V'Tzufa. Okay? Can you all see the blackboard? I'm not going to say it anymore. Which is a fundamental incompatibility in the internal process of the neshama between the I and the it. I will not be mad for this, explain this, we all understand what that means. Fine. This yields a certain new anhaga called anhagas hamishpat. Okay? These words are really the story of everything you said up to now, basically, okay? The Hanogas HaMishpat now must create a situation where the Neshama can earn its Olam Haba. Hence, a new concept is created called Bechira. Bechira means free choice. Bechira. What the Baruch says, you must choose this Hatava which I've given you. I will give it to you conditionally. The Hanochas HaMishpat says you will get it conditionally, not unconditionally, what was before. Okay? Very simple. That's a quick review from last time. Okay? Now, what we must examine is a very interesting corollary which emanates from the fact that our choice is Bechira. In order to exercise, I have to ask that you not speak because we have to move ahead. In order to exercise Bechira, what is the fundamental ingredient which is necessary? One of the main fundamental ingredients which is necessary to exercise free will.
Yes, choice.
Choice, well, that's the choice. You know choice. In order to have choice, you have to have two different paths. Okay. But is choice a conscious activity or a non-conscious activity? Can you exercise free will?
You have to ignorance.
What? I didn't say whether it has to do with knowledge. Do you have to be aware to exert choice? Can you choose in your sleep? No. It's a conscious activity. You must be conscious. You must have awareness in order to be a boicha. Okay? We said that the critical gift that God gave to the neshama was the fact that the neshama is a self. Remember? Who is aware of itself. The neshama has self-awareness in its own way. It knows that it is. It knows that is different from everything else out there. It refers to all reality as you and itself as me. That is its incredible gift. That is a gift in a way of independence. The Rebbeinu Shalom wants to correct a problem of self. The problem which involves the self of the neshama is called Nam Mitzufa. Hence, the whole Hanochas HaMishpat, in essence, really focuses on the self of the neshama, the way it feels about itself, because that's the whole problem. Do we see? What was the problem of Nam Mitzufa? That the neshama says, I can't handle all this hatava. I can't take it. It makes me uncomfortable. Why? Because there's something about my ability of self that makes me independent. It makes me complete. You see. Hence, I have a problem handling the Torah that you give me. I want to be able to do something about it. So the Rebbeinu Shalom, in order to correct this problem, must address the Hanochas HaMishpat, the Hanoga, towards the self. But we all understand that? That's where the solution lies. The solution lies somewhere within your own sense of self.
Okay, well, the sense of self, which self are we talking about? There are many aspects of self.
I'm keeping it.
The highest level of
I'm keeping it down to a very basic concept of your sense of self-awareness.
Okay.
You know, there are many aspects, expressions of self, thinking, feelings, sensation, will. There are many aspects of self, but I'm talking about simply the awareness of self, that I am. The very fact that you're able to be aware of yourself, that's all. That's ability. That I know that I am. That's awareness. But what I'd like to say and start saying today is something more. That the truth of the matter is, if you really look into it, all you are, every person in this room, myself included, and everyone else, is nothing really more than a self. That's all you really are. You are nothing else. What am I talking about? You are nothing else. We're going to discuss one of the most powerful illusions ever created by the Rebbeinu Shalom. Just about the most powerful illusion. And when you get your hand on this illusion, you will all walk out a lot humbler than when you walked in. What is this illusion? This illusion is that you could do anything. Period. If in essence what you are is a self, it's a knowledge of oneself, it's a being which possesses knowledge of self, that's all you are. Is there anything included in the concept of self? Is there anything included in the concept of self, the notion that you can do something? That you can perform, you can achieve a certain objective by actually getting up and doing something? No. And the truth of that is you can't. You think you can, but you really can't. What am I talking about? You all get hungry. You look around for some food. You get dinner, you eat dinner. Now, where does that hunger come from? It came from somewhere in your body. You go ahead, you make food, you eat the food, and that's the last you see of it. And what happens to that food all along the way? Your physiology, your body takes care of it. What does it do? It digests it, it assimilates it, it metabolizes it, it does everything necessary. Do you see anything in that process? Is there any part of that process which you're even aware of? No. Do you have any idea for the last donut that you ate? Whatever happened to that last donut? Where did it go? What happened to it? What became of it? It's a good question. Or the last Coke you drank? No one knows. You don't know. Your body handled it. Took care of it. I have this piece of chalk, right? I hold it in my hand. I want to raise my hand with the chalk in it. I want to raise it. What do? I simply raise my hand. But how did I do that? You know what's involved in raising a hand? You have any idea? People who unfortunately have muscular diseases, polio, multiple sclerosis, cerebral palsy, all these muscular diseases, know what it means to raise a hand. Why? Because to raise a hand, all I do is will. I simply will. And suddenly, I find my hand going up. But what's the relation between my will, which is a conscious activity, and the fact that my hand is going up? I have no idea. To raise a hand means to contract a whole bunch of muscles. Which muscles? I don't know. How do muscles contract? By extremely complex biochemical activity. What is that? I don't know. I don't even know what these chemicals are called. What they're composed of. An example. A baseball game. Suddenly a batter hits the ball and the outfielder sees it coming. Okay. He sees the ball coming, he runs and he catches that ball. Do you know what's involved in that? He sees the ball coming. It's coming down. Well, first of all, he has to know where that ball approximately would land. Which means that somehow his brain or something in him has to tell him. He calculates the velocity, the wind, the direction, everything of that ball. And to figure out, based on the fact the trajectory would take from that guy to over here, I would assume the baseball player says to his own mind, actually non-verbally, I say it can land over here. Then he says to his body, run over there. He runs over there before because he has to predict his own velocity to get there just in time. He doesn't want to run so fast that he's going to run way past the thing. So he's got to get there just when the ball is coming down. Then he's got to put out his glove and calculate exactly approximately where and grab it in the hand and then hold it. What's involved in that? Simple, isn't it? How can that be simple? Do you know what it would be if we made a computer to do that? Essentially, that's almost the function of a guided missile. Really. And an anti-defense guided missile. Really. You have an idea what kind of memory and what kind of cybernetic processes are involved in building a computer that can do just what that outfielder just did? Simply, it would be unbelievable to program the machine to do that, you see. Yet this guy did it almost instinctively, intuitively, actually habitually. He just ran and got the ball. Well, who did it? Who did it? Was the outfielder, was he aware of all the calculations take place? Could he just suddenly stand and see the ball and goes and sits there like a robot and suddenly calculates all the stuff? He catches from the senses, wind velocity, velocity trajectory, angle of descent, pull of gravity, and so on. Do you see the wheel spinning? Of course not. What in the head did it? Then he says, I want to get it. Suddenly his body jumps up and he starts running. How did he do that? How did he move this machine? Now, I ask you again, do you think you can do anything? Really? If the essence of a person is itself And that's manifest through awareness, you see. The truth of the matter is, when it really comes down to it, that's all you are. You are nothing more. Because the truth is, if you really think of all the activities you do nothing. Nothing. You can't even get out of your chair, really. Because you have no idea how you're getting out of your chair. Somehow the body gets you out of your chair. The body runs to catch the ball. Your brain runs and calculates everything. But who am I? Am I my body? Am I my brain? What is it? But we're accustomed to say, yeah, hey, I'm my body, you know? My body is me. You see, my beautiful body. I want to take care of it. I want to pamper it. It's me. I'm my body. But that's not true. You and your body have very little to do with each other, technically speaking. There's almost no communication between you and your body. Your body, when your body is dissatisfied, it lets you know. Suddenly, I'm hungry. I have a headache. Your body lets you know what it wants to let you know. But does your body tell you how it does anything? No. So are you really your body? Well, yes. Well, no. Which one is it? You see. The answer is, you are not really your body. If I would target you, any one of you specifically, and zero in on your specific essence, all you really is a sense of self. That's fundamental what you are. You are nothing else. So then what is everything else? Everything else basically is God. What do I mean? I don't mean God necessarily directly. I mean what God does to you. You may not see it. You're in a body. Your body does everything. But it's all subconscious. It's all beyond awareness, beyond thinking. You see, it functions like a machine. Who sustains the machine? Who has designed the machine? Who maintains it? Who oils it? Whatever the story is. Revelation himself. In his own mysterious way. That's it. And when God decides that it's enough, suddenly it's all over. 5 seconds before a massive fatal heart attack, the person does not know. 5 seconds. In 5 seconds, you see, there's someone out there who will be dead. 5 seconds from now. And I can guarantee you that he does not know. He hasn't the slightest idea. Everything is fine. Everything is great. 5 seconds, and it's all over. He has no idea about the plaque that's accumulating in his arteries. He has no idea that his arteries is about to be clogged. No idea. He has no idea that an artery in the brain is about to be clogged. And he's in for a stroke. 5 seconds before the event. You see, I ask you again, do you think that you're in control of your body? How? You have no idea. Your body is a machine and a mechanism of its own. It has its own rules, which biologists and doctors and scientists are attempting to understand and can barely fathom how it does what it does. You see, even for example, the ability to create sight, to create a machine which in some way can process, you see, images and respond to it is an enormously complex process. They find that it's extremely difficult to create a machine which can literally see and respond to the seeing. Because what you and I take for granted seeing, you see, is very difficult, because what is really an image? An image is really a field of different colors and shapes and shades. But how do you distinguish between entities in that field and perception? A machine can't do it, you see. A machine simply sees a lot of colors and a lot of shapes and lines moving around, constantly shifting. But how do you know which one of those shapes is a being or an entity and which is separate from the other? You see what I'm saying? What we take so automatically for granted, but the brain does automatically. It's incredible. Scientists cannot do it. They cannot really create a machine, a robot of anything, an automated being, which can really duplicate the sight. And it's only when they begin to try and duplicate these things that they begin to realize what's involved in the person's body. That's when they suddenly say in their naturally humble way, you know, I'm first beginning to realize what it means to see. Yoshikoya. Finally they're coming around, you see. What do we see? We see that you have very little to do with your movement or any real activity which is involved. Right. Okay, so you said to me, okay, you got me over there. You got me over there. But I am at least responsible for my thoughts. I'm responsible for my thoughts, right? I'm responsible for what I'm thinking, right? Wrong. You're not even responsible for your thinking. Now you say, hey, the guy's going too far. He's going too far. What is he talking about? Okay, let's look at that more carefully. 5 seconds from now, do you know what you're about to think of? No. Suddenly, what do you really do when you think? Really? What you do is really respond to an idea that pops into your head. Think about it. Did you create the thought really? No. It suddenly was there. Suddenly you had a desire to do something. Suddenly you thought about your friend. Suddenly you thought about the share. Suddenly you thought about the job. It just popped in your head. Where did it come from? Who generated it? Did you? No. You had no idea it would be there in 5 seconds. I give you a problem to solve. I give you a certain problem. Go figure it out. If I give you a problem, any type of problem, if I give you a problem in mathematics, for example, like this, very difficult problem. 2 plus 2, please open this slightly. Okay, no, slightly, that's all. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Go solve it. How do you know that 2 plus 2 equals 4? How do you know that? You see, very simple. You know how you know that? Because when I write 2 and then I write plus 2, you know how you all know it's 4? Because suddenly something pops in your head that says 4. That's how you know it's 4. Something hit your head that says 4. 3 plus 6. 9. Where did it come from? Something hit your head and said 9. Where did you get that from? Really? Now the question is, if I say 539 times 625, what happens? Blank. Nothing. Well, smart aleck, what happened? Where is it? Well, you got to go to a whole series of processes, you see. But fundamentally, what you do when you think, even creatively, is what you do is that you begin to open your mind and suddenly something pops in. When a scientist or any creator wants to figure something out, he doesn't know where the answer lies. How does he get his answer? He simply has a way of almost like opening up his mind as if it were a basket, and suddenly the idea comes in. You see. But did he actually know where the answer was? No. Not really. It's an illusion. Even thought is an illusion. Meaning, it's an illusion if you think that consciously you control your thoughts, or that you are responsible for the ideas that you have, the solutions to ideas. It's an illusion, because you don't even have that. It's all set aside like that, so it looks like that. But if you really think about it, every one of these activities is not involved in your conscious activity, except as a result. You simply sit there as the collector. You collect your ideas, you see. You collect things. That's all you really do. But you don't know really how to go about in a specific way to actually go and find something or create something or solve something. It's your brain which tells you what to do. That's it. But most of the activity which is involved in your brain is really non-conscious, it's subconscious. You see, when you really think about it. Most of the activities that are involved are really below your conscious level, even of solutions themselves. So therefore, what really is thinking and doing? Most of thinking and doing is what? Most of thinking and doing is habit, but a habit that comes from what kind of activity? So it's like something in you is programmed, and you find yourself responding. That's really what you are. What you really are is nothing but the great responder. That's all you are. You're not the great innovator, the great originator. You are the great responder.
Did you say you have an effect on your thoughts?
Who? Yes.
The person thinks about the wrong things. After the thought comes in, the peak prolongs it.
Good. Okay. Very good point. Up to now, we're talking about the kinds of ideas which appear in your head at the beginning. They seem to come from nowhere. You see, from second to second, you find yourself thinking about things as if they're coming from outside of you. And as they're coming outside of you, now you're thinking about it. Then another idea comes in. But the truth of the matter is, it possible to prolong an idea? For example, let's say you start thinking about a certain topic. You see, well, you are contemplating and continuing to think about that topic. Yes, that's true. But that's all you can do, is you can only really continue to think about the topic. But the specific idea which comes in about that topic from moment to moment is really beyond you. You see, you can say, I want to try and figure out something in my business. So you're thinking about something in your business. But from every second, the idea which enters your head is just coming to your head. One idea after another. As if it's like a sequence that you are really responding to or really experiencing. But you are in no real way controlling, as if you know how each specific idea is entering your mind. You don't really know that. You see what I'm saying? What you're doing is you're really responding in sequence to every idea that comes in about that specific topic. Does everyone see what I'm saying? In order to really see what I'm saying, you have to observe yourself think. If you observe yourself think for half a minute, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Nobody ever observes themselves thinking. Most people think. They are involved in the experience of thinking, you see. So they think because they are involved in the experience of thinking, they therefore are responsible for their thinking in the sense that they really determine the direction. That's not true. You don't generate your thinking in a real sense, in a knowing sense, as if you know where you're going, you see. Rather you are experiencing your thoughts as they're being projected to you by your mind.
So I was just about to say that you could switch your thoughts also.
Yes, you can. You can switch, you see. But when you want to switch your thoughts, why do you want to switch your thoughts? Because suddenly a feeling enters you that says, wait a minute, I want to think about this. But where does that feeling come from? What?
The will.
The will is really after the fact in many ways. Once two things are given to you, then you choose. But does the will control what its choices really are at any point in time? Does the will, your will, control what thoughts you will and will not really want? Only after it's presented to you. Then you say, oh, I don't want this, I want that. I don't want this feeling, I want that feeling. But before the will makes its choice, the mind and the body and the self suddenly are presented with the feeling or with the thought. You see what I'm saying? So the initial generation of it is really beyond you. Once it's in your focus, once it's in your consciousness, you can say, well, I want this, but I don't want that. I want to go here, but I don't want to go there. I want to attend to this feeling, but not that feeling. I want to attend to this bodily need, but not that, you see. In other words, what we find is that we are like a screen, you see. In many ways, we are like a screen. Our mind is like a screen, awareness, right? You see. And what it is the following, is that there is something being pushed on the screen constantly by something really beyond us, which we don't know. Does it come from the brain? Does it come from the body? We really don't know. Once it's on the screen, we then choose what's on that screen, what we want to deal with. But as soon as we will and we start choosing on that screen what to deal with, the next second or the next input on that screen is also on that screen, you see. What we see is the following. The screen and the information on the screen in terms of thoughts, feelings, drives, whatever the story is coming from outside of us or inside of us in a way, but in a sense beyond our conscious awareness. What we do is we try and arrange what we see on that screen, you see. But we can only arrange or will what's on that screen at any point, any second in time. And we have to wait to what happens, what the screen looks like next. And after that, what the screen looks like next. You see. The screen is constantly being affected. The screen is constantly being affected by our choice. But we don't literally produce what's on that screen directly, because we can't do it. We don't know how the brain creates a thought. We don't know how the body creates a desire. We don't know how the inner person creates a feeling. We have no idea how to produce these things consciously. We can't consciously really do these things. You see what I'm saying? In terms of mechanistically, the mechanics, these things are produced for us. We can only respond once they're produced. We can determine or attempt to choose certain types of feelings or certain types of thoughts, you see, at any point in time. But even when we choose, the next set of thoughts or feelings are again produced for us, you see. So in a certain sense, our existence is like a flow between something which is produced for us and a constant willing which is affecting it, you see. But the actual production is not done by us. All we really do is the willing. That's all. That's all we really can do. Yes. You want to say something?
No, no.
It's subtle. It's very subtle what I'm saying. You see, you have to think about that, really.
What you're saying actually, person could definitely affect their thoughts. They can affect what's going to come into their mind.
Yes, yes. But how it comes in your mind, you don't know. Which means
by the choice, you mean? By that choice.
yes, that's a very good way of saying it. Yes, yes. Oh, exactly. Right. You know, what you can do is you can affect what's going to come onto your screen. Most of the time, we don't even affect that. Let's be honest. Most times, stuff is sliding to our head, feeling just constantly. But it's possible, you see, to affect it. But when we affect it, all we do is simply desire for another input. How the body and the mind produces this other input, no one knows. We don't know how we actually produce that input into the screen at the next moment. You see, all we can do is say, we want another input. We want an input in a certain direction. That's all. But how do you get in that direction? We don't know. It's like all you are is at the wheel of a car. That's all. All you can do is turn the car. But you have no control over the gas pedal or the brake or anything. You see? So what it is that car is always riding. And all you can do is constantly move the wheel in different directions. But you cannot in any way really do anything to the car. You see? The movement or the stopping of that car, even the fact that the car turns, is not in your hands. You have no idea. All you know is you have a certain lever. That if you move this lever, this car will respond. You see? That's all. But the activity, the performance of that car is beyond you. All you can do is simply determine to some extent the direction. You see what I'm saying? That's really what the body, the brain, and the mind, that's all it really is. It's like that car. And you're the guy sitting at the wheel. You see?
There's a halacha, is there a halacha if a person has thoughts about the thing of Sarayus and...
you can take it out of your head.
If he keeps it in his mind, it becomes...
Yes. Because you can will the direction of the car. But you cannot will its performance, because its performance is beyond your ability. We don't control the performance. We can't. That's beyond us. Do we see what I'm saying? Yes.
To a great extreme, so then because you don't have that.
Yes. There are certain things the machine needs. It needs on its own. Input on itself. Yes. No. There are rules and regulations of how that machine runs. There are certain things you need psychologically, certain things you need physically, and certain things you need perhaps intellectually and so on. That's true. These things you need.
But your description is not even is normal as it were, but is not in any way an accurate description of the possibility of the function.
My description is simply this. I'm trying to investigate the relationship between your real sense of self and everything else that goes on about yourself. I'm not even talking about outside of you. That's what I'm trying to understand. If we are nothing more than a sense of I, what connection does that have to my being, my body, my mind, and my thoughts and so on? How really connected? How much is it really responsible in terms of that? Or does my body and mind and so on have, in a certain sense, it's a world by itself. It's a machine that runs by its own, beyond consciousness. And what we really felt, we're simply conscious beings who really inhabit this machine and take advantage of it and respond to its stimuli. But that's all. We don't really control it, really. You see? You see what I'm saying?
If there is if you try to take it, we have no control over it. You know,
you see, when I say control, you have to say what I mean by control. You pointed this out. It was a good distinction. You have control, in a sense, to determine direction. But you do not have control to create performance.
To create we can, because we can
performance.
Right, but that's in everything.
Yes. That's the distinction. The nature of self is that the self can only deal with direction, but it cannot deal with performance. You see what I'm saying? The doing of it, the actuality of it, the achievement, that has nothing to do with the sense of self. The sense of self simply is aware and can will. Let's be more specific.
Is there an idea possibly that somehow, maybe in the future or whatever, that the cells of the body actually, there's like a unification with the cells become aware?
No.
Can we have some awareness? You know, maybe that's like the unification of that self-awareness.
No. We had a whole share like this last week. And the whole thing, what exactly, what is it that contributes the sense of self? What contributes to the neshama? What makes a person alive? We have a whole thing. Who's responsible for the tape each week? Who's taking the responsibility? Who? You? Okay. See Eli. Whoever wants to catch, last week we had a whole cheer on the concept of life, what really controls life, the neshama or something else, and the nature of the human experience in general. For those who are interested, you can get a copy of the last cheer from Eli. Okay, just take what, okay?
You know, I just want to point out one thing. From our initial creation that we came into the world, it's a cause and effect of what thoughts have come. Every thought that's coming to us is definitely affected by things that we've done in the past, in this life and in lives before.
Yes.
There's no
we don't
question.
know. Yes,
We don't know what we did or where we were, but everything is definitely. I mean, if we took it,
more than
there's
that.
definitely a system that Hashem goes by.
Who says there isn't? We're simply saying is you're not the control. We're not pointing that you're the controller of us. In other words, it's not your conscious activity, you see. The question is, what we have to investigate is, who is the control? What really is the control? That's the next part. First we have to divorce you from the power. You got to get this power out of your head, you see. And then we'll see where the power really belongs.
You got to make that distinction of who we really.
Yes, first. Then we'll figure out what's really happening. Yes, Walter. Okay.
Well, just along the same lines of what Judah was saying, someone who is born into a family of tzaddikim and grows up and his mind is very pure and is not exposed to any other environmental pressures, is going to have different thoughts going through his mind and across his screen.
Right, exactly. Internal events, external events. What are external events? What you're talking about. The environment you're born in, a school, family, so on, the kind of body you're born with, how strong it is, hereditary-wise, the different events that occur in your life, how intelligent you are, your native ability is an important external event. You have no control over that. The kind of family you're in. Like Walter's saying, the culture you're in, your society, your family, your society, who your brothers and sisters, who your parents will be. You see, what country you'll be born in. All this is determined for you. You have no say in this matter. These are external events. Things that happen to you on a daily basis. You see, good things, bad things, positive things, accidents. You see, what kind of job you'll get, what kind of money you'll be making. All these things are external events. You have no control over these things, not directly. But I'm saying even more than that, even internal events, your thinking, your feelings, your drive, are also you have very little control over it. When I mean control, I'm referring to performance. I'm not referring to direction.
You're talking about the cause. You're not talking about what we're doing.
Who?
You're not talking about. We could definitely affect our thoughts. We don't know how it happens.
Yes.
But we can affect it.
Yes, that's what we mean by
It's the
direction.
same thing like you said, getting up from the chair. We don't know how we did it, but we do it.
Yes.
Because
But that's an important thing. That shows you what's critical, you see. What is critical is that you do not have power over your being. That's what we're talking about. You are impotent.
Isn't that what Moshe Rabbeinu says in Chochmah?
Who? When
he says Chochmah,
yeah.
it's Koachmah.
In a sense.
Bringing out that he's
in a sense.
that he, the heart.
Well, it means something more really. Chochmah means more. But in a sense, that's what we're saying. You lack the power. You have no power. You don't even have the power of your internal being. Now why is that? Why is that? Because fundamentally, what is awareness? Awareness is the ability to say, I am. That's all awareness is. There are three sentences here. I am, I want, and I do.
That's the last word. You gotta put nothing.
What's that?
You gotta put nothing at the end.
No, that's not what I'm looking for. Patience. You'll see. There are three sentences. I am, I want, and I do. What is the nature of these three sentences? I am means it's a statement simply of what? Of awareness. This is a statement of awareness. That's all it is. I want is a statement of will. I do is a statement of action. I am simply saying, I am. That's all. Your ability to say I am means that you are a being with awareness. Do you have that? Yes. That you all have. I want. You see, I want. It's a desire. Want to do anything?
No, I'm just happy. I got something. It's amazing.
Well, I told you. You see, I told you. Not only do you have something. The problem over here, and I want to take what you're saying here, what's so critical, you see. I'm not trying to put all you people down. That's not what's going on here. That's what it sounds like it's going on here. I'm not trying to give you people a massive inferiority complex. No. To those who possess it, that's all right. That's they got it on their own. No. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to take away the illusion you have about your power, and I'm trying to show you where your real power lies. You see, it's not that I'm trying to take away something from you. I'm trying to show where your real power is. You see, the problem is that we all think that our power lies in area A. You see, that's what we all think. That is an illusion. Our real power lies in area B. You see, that's what I'm doing. I'm not saying that you have no power by destroying area A. I'm not doing that.
It never was.
I'm simply saying that this is an illusion, and I'm trying to transfer your thinking that your real power is in area B. Do you understand what I'm trying to do?
Can you box it as B? Because then you can say, well,
Who?
B is,
What?
Can you make a box that it's in B? Because then B becomes A, and then it might not even be B.
No. Let's not get too semantic. No. Very simple. You think that your power is in A. It's not. Your power lies in area B. What I'm trying to do is to explain to you what A and what B really is. You think, does everyone understand this? Let's be clear about this. You all think that your power lies in this, you all think that your power lies in this area. I do. You all think that you have an ability to do, to perform. And I say to you, that's not true. This is area A. You do not have any power in area A because you cannot do anything. You see. And my proof for that is that whatever you do occurs through a machine that you're using, through something called some instrumentation. In order for you to do anything, you meaning your sense of self, the I, you have to employ a machine. You've got to employ your body, you've got to employ your muscles, your brain, all these things. But are all these things really your sense of I? No. They are simply things, vehicles, which your sense of self is using. You see. Hence, you don't have an ability to do anything. Really. In terms of I do, you have no power of action, but you have power of awareness. Why? Because fundamentally, you are awareness. The sense of self is by definition its own self-awareness. So you have the power to say, I am. This sphere does not have the power to say, I am, and it surely doesn't have the power to say, I do. You see, you have the power to say, I am. Now, you also have the power to say, I will or I want. You see, where does that come from? That comes from I am. You have the ability to choose, but you don't have the ability to determine your options, or even to determine what the choice is. But given a choice, you have the ability to feel a desire in a certain direction. What is that? In essence, that's like the sense of I am directed in a certain direction. You can say, I am there, but not here. I want my am to be in this direction, but not direction. You see what I'm saying? That's will. You can take that sense of self-awareness and direct it, want it in a certain way. You cannot determine how that way will be, or how to get there. You see, that must be given to you. What the choices are must be given to you. And the ability to get there must be given to you. But you can say, I am, you are, this is don't be, and you can say, I'm. You understand what we're saying? You can do these two, but you cannot do the third. Does everyone understand this? Who then does the third? And why can't you do the third?
On all levels, you can say I am and I was.
Yes, on all levels.
That's the self-neshama.
Yes. The neshama can say, I am and I want. That's all the neshama can say. It cannot say anything else. It
What
can.
does neshama want?
It can desire. On its plane, it can desire. It can want an
Doesn't
aspect.
neshama already contain everything? It has
Who?
everything.
No, oh, wait a minute. Yes, that's true.
Satisfied and
Yet the neshama, in the case of the neshama, when it's not in the body, the neshama has a desire for only one option, because the neshama is only given one option, you see. Hence it desires that one option, but it still has the capacity to desire. I need to say a neshama has free will, or choice. A neshama does not have choice, because in order to have choice, you must have two options. If I only give you one option, you see, do you have a choice? No. You see, really. Because that's the one option, and if that's the option you feel, that's the option then you want. So you're not given a choice. You see. That's because you lack two options. But as soon as you're given a neshama two options, does it have a choice? Yes.
but you're not saying the neshama has choice.
No, it doesn't. But it has a sense of self and it has a will. But it cannot exercise that will. Why? Because it lacks what? A choice. How does God give the neshama choice? By creating the body. By creating this world. Olam Hazeh is the place where the neshama is given the choice. When the neshama is up in the Shemayim, when it's up there in the world of spirit, it has no choice. You see. Why? Because there's only one thing. There's only one option. There's no two options, so it has no choice. So God created another world. A world not only of spirit, but a world of body. Of material, of gashmi. By creating two worlds, the neshama now has a choice, meaning that the neshama can exercise the I am and the I will in one of two directions. Without that, it can only exercise I am and I will in only one direction. Now, if you don't have an I am and I will, you can't exercise anything. But even if you have an I am and I will, you still don't have free choice unless you have two options. So, free choice doesn't exist unless there's two options. But the ability to choose does exist if you possess an I am and I want. You see what I'm saying? That does exist. Where do we find a self? A being which has a self that has no choice. Angels, malachim. Exactly. That's exactly what a malach is. A malach is a being which has a sense of self but has no choice. You see. Can a malach have choice? No. Yes. If you take a malach and you... What?
In the case of Abraham, they had one thing to do.
Not all malachim. Certain malachim can have. It depends. A malach technically can have choice. If a malach is put into a guf, if a malach is put into a body, you see, and it becomes a malach person, which is possible. Such a thing happened before the time of Noach. You see, there were two malachim that came down. Two malachim that said to God, "We don't understand why mankind is so sinful." So God says, "You want to take up the challenge?" They said, "Yeah, we'll take it up." So the Bereshim took them and put them in the gufim and constructed not a malach, a guf neshama, but a guf malach combination. Now, what's the difference between a guf neshama combination and a guf malach combination? That's difficult to say. I'm not clear on that. There must be some distinction there, because the malach and the neshama are not the same type of spiritual entity. But as soon as that happened, did the malachim have free will? They did. And did they use it wisely? No. They became worse than the men. So much for that.
Were they
So much for challenges.
in terms of
What?
Mazik,
No, not Mazik, Malachim. I mean, do Mazik Moshe have choice?
yeah.
What point is it?
It's difficult to say. It depends on the shirish. That's hard to say. I'm not clear on that. Yeah.
When the aspect of the free choice is there, we have the two, and the neshamas in the body, is because some of the frustration and suffering that's in the world, because the body goes in the wrong direction as the spirit. Sometimes the soul has an idea, a desire, but the body doesn't follow it. There's a split. There's a split.
Yeah.
Well, what's that split about? I mean, shouldn't the body as a robot follow what the neshama orders us to do?
No.
That's the whole aspect that we have no power to do.
No, because there's two wills. In order to understand this, you have to understand something about the Yetzer Hara and how the Yetzer Hara functions, what the body does. We are not up to that point yet. We'll get into that. That's you're into the mechanism of the choice itself. I first want to lay down what. Yeah, I see you got the he's got the style already. That's up ahead. But what I want to put
talking the language.
There we got the language here. Okay. No.
The neshama has desire, right?
Yes. It has the ability to say, I want.
It is the only act for love. The group has desire too, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But the neshama like a pre-programmed desire.
What?
The neshama is a pre-programmed desire, so only one direction.
In a sense. That's why the neshama alone would not have any free will. It's got to be giving you another desire. These are very technical questions. Very deep questions. What exactly, or what is the mechanism of Bechira in the person, in terms of the person's constituents? If he is a neshama and a guf tied together, what is the mechanism of the choice? Who goes to what direction and how is it done? This is a very fascinating question and a very deep one. We're not going to go into that now because that requires more information. Okay, what we will go into is what the fundamental concept of a self is. That a self can say these two statements. Now, let me go on. Now, does the fact that the neshama can only say I am and I want, is that a minus for the neshama? Is there something wrong with the neshama? No. Why? Because you must understand something very, very important. Something very, very important, and we will understand it next week better for the ones who are new. Who is the only being that can say I do? God. The Rebbeinu Shalom is the only being that can say I do. Why? Why is God the only one who can say I do? What? Why is it that God is the only one that can say I do? Why?
Because he's the only one who can create.
Why? Give that man a standing ovation. Took the words right out of my mouth. Very good. It's not because God is more powerful than we are, in that sense. It's not because the Rebbeinu Shalom, is so powerful. It's not because the Rebbeinu Shalom is reality or existence itself. He is the process. And the process of existence itself is the actuality of doing. Do we understand this? What does it mean to do? To do really means to be. That's really what the thing is. This is the key. Next week when we analyze again, try to understand something about the Mashiach is going to understand it better for the new people. But what it really means is to be. Okay? Means to do. This is the critical equation. If you are the process of existence itself, if you are synonymous with that very activity, the activity.
So you look up into the will of God at that point.
That's how we do. Exactly. Exactly. Wait. Excuse me, I find myself competing. I can't. I don't want to overshout the crowd. Please. If you are existence itself, if you are the process, you can do, because to do really means to determine reality. What's doing? Doing means controlling reality, determining the face or the nature of reality. But to determine the nature of reality is to what? Control existence. To control existence means that you must be existence. If you're not existence, if you need from outside of you. If in order to exist I have to come out to something outside, you see, then I can't do anything. I am literally a passive, paralyzed being. You see. So how can I do anything? You may say, well, wait a minute, maybe God can give you the power of doing. He cannot. Why? Because fundamentally to do from your intrinsic nature means to be. You see, God can do for you. And that's what He does all the time. He does for you. God is the one who creates your body, controls your body, sustains your body. He is the one who controls your mind and sustains everything. He is the one who feeds in the little thoughts and the feelings and everything. It's a constant flow. He is doing everything. He is the one who writes on the chalkboard called the human awareness, self-awareness. He is the one who does that. Why? Because He is the one who controls reality. Why? Because He is reality. That's why. All we can do is simply sit and wait. Wait for His response, you see. Wait for His stimuli and what He gives us. But God has done something else. He not only gives us the nature of our being, but He creates an illusion so that you think that you do it yourself. That is the thing. You see. Because God does not want you to know this. He wants you to think that your power lies in zone A. He wants you to think that, you see. He doesn't want you to begin to investigate what you're really about and realize that your power is only in zone B. He doesn't want that, you see. But it's a big problem for God. How can God convince you that you have a sense of power? See, it's taking me an hour to convince you that you have no sense of power. So you think that the problem is to convince you that you have no power. No. The problem is exactly the opposite. Because if it's true that you have no sense of power, how does God create the possibility or convince you of the illusion that you do have power? That's the real thing. If the reality is fakir, if the reality is the other way, you see, that you are really an absolute impotent passive being, and all you are is a sense of self, that's all you are. So how does God go about making an illusion that a passive being suddenly becomes an active being? How do you create the illusion that a person who is literally paralyzed in terms of potency thinks that he is the activity of the world, or he controls all kinds of things? How do you make such an illusion? I had to work a whole hour to destroy that illusion. If I did, and I only did to some degree, to really understand what I've said, you've got to think about what I've said, and you've got to look at yourself thinking and doing. That's when you begin to see what I'm talking about. But if it took me so long to show you the illusion, could you imagine how incredibly successful God has been in creating the illusion?
Well, it's the idea of the world, of the feeling.
Yes. Why has He done that? Why? Not because He wants to really deceive you, because He wants to give you a choice. And the choice is to be or not to be. To do or not to do. And it sounds funny, but that's true. You see, to do or not to do. What really am I? To what degree am I responsible for my own success and my own power, my own life? When you begin to realize that you really must come on to an outside force, you begin to understand who God really is. You begin to understand who you really are. And suddenly, you become a very humble person. That's the gist of it. You see what I'm saying? But God doesn't want it to be too obvious. Why? Why does He want it to be too obvious? Because He wants you to choose. Why does He want you to choose? To solve what problem?
No, you can choose.
We got a chorus over here. You see how it works? That's really where it's at. You see. Hence, I, as a person, am an I am and I want. God does everything else for me. I walk around with an illusion that I do. But internally you cannot do. It is impossible. You can only I am and I want. You can only exert awareness and will. You cannot exert action. Because to exert action, you must control reality. To control reality, you must control existence. But you don't cause existence. God controls existence. Why? Because God is existence. What am I talking about? Next week we will understand this much better. Do we all understand this? Okay. Yes.
Just a quickie. I see be and do on the board for being to do.
Yes.
Abilities.
That's the fundamental equation.
Is there any question or does this come into play of the idea of having?
Have?
Yeah.
I mean, to have is what you're given. It's I have has nothing to do with this. I have is part of to do. In order to have,
in order to have.
Yes, but you cannot say I have. What do you have?
I have a book.
Where in the world?
You're holding the book. What does it mean you have? What does that mean? You're holding the book. You own the book because we say you own it. What does it mean you own the book? What is it? A thin wire between you and the book? What does that mean you own the book? What does that mean? You have a book. Were you? Who? Yeah, see, that's the English. I have a heart. I have a brain. But are you your heart? We're not considering what you have. It's what you are. What are you? Who are you?
Well, to me, the doing flows out of the being in some way.
Yes. Yes.
And then the next step, as a result of that, seems to be the having.
Yes. But it's a part of doing. Yes. You have. You possess. Yes. You possess your body. You own a body? Yes. Yes, you own a body. Right. Why? Because, you see, when a person dies, he no longer owns the body. You can see what happens when a person is disowned. He's dead. That's what it means, no longer owned body. So, is he a body? No, he simply owns it. Rather, he wears it. He's renting it. He's renting it for the time being.
Trying to put together, I want to do. The person who's aware of
who is aware that this is an illusion versus the person who does not.
Taking as an assumption that they could be thinking and doing precisely the same.
Oh, what is the difference?
No.
I understand what you're saying. What's the difference between a person who is aware that this is an illusion versus a person who's not? That's what you're saying. Oh, that's a very good question. Excuse me. Shlomo was asking the next question. Now that we understand this distinction, the truth of the matter is, what effect should this distinction have on my life, in a sense? What difference does it make to me? The answer is, because if you are subject to an illusion, you will have a false sense of your own reality, and a false sense of God's reality. You can therefore never come to a true relationship with God. You can't come to a madreg of Yir Shemayim. You can't come to a true level of what's called Yir Shemayim. Because you don't have a good perspective of who you are and who God is. In order to achieve a very high level of Yir Shemayim, you see, you must understand the reality of that. Hence, you must understand this illusion. How does it affect your life? It affects your life in terms of the way you do mitzvahs, the way you daven to God, what you ask of Him, the whole way you connect with Him. You see. You see, it makes a whole difference in your Yir Shemayim. It makes a whole difference in the kind of effort that you put in terms of being a frum Jew or learning Torah. It's the beginning of Yir Shemayim. What I have described today is not a seminar in philosophy. It's not a discourse in psychology. Is that it's the root of what you are as a person, and it will determine to a great degree how you look at God and how you feel about God. You see what I'm saying? I'm not trying to put you people down or put down what it means to be human. I'm trying to raise you up. Why? Because as I said last week, that in essence, you think that to be an I am and I want is a small thing. That's the greatest thing that God ever made. The ability of another being to be an I am is an astounding creation. There's nothing else that shares that. You see. So I haven't left you with a small gift or small thing. What I took away was that which was never yours. And I left you with that which is the most important thing of all. You see. You see what I'm saying? The fact that you are, that you have a sense of self, means that you are a true reality. That's what it means.
No.
You don't have to enhance your reality by usurping that which belongs to God. To the extent that you think I'm an I do, to that extent you will infringe on God's area. You will infringe on His power, on what He does. And to that extent, you will never understand who He is, and you will minimize what He does for you. That's the difference. If you want to know, this year tonight, like I say, is not an assessment of human consciousness. It's an assessment of your tachlis and what your purpose. To the extent that you understand what we said tonight, and I encourage all of you to go home and to think about what I said tonight, and to see the reality of what I'm talking about. To that extent, you'll begin to what? To direct your energy to where it really counts. Your will and your capacity to choose. You see. And your capacity to choose should be directed in what? In the areas in which the Rebbeinu Shalom determines and considers best for you. All of human life, and this is the mystery and secret of human life, all of human life is nothing more than a baby being led step by step. You see, that's what it is. What do I mean? All of human life is nothing more than you being constantly given a new experience, a new thought, a new feeling, constantly being given stimuli, and God is asking you through the stimuli, what are you going to do now? What are you going to do now? How are you going to act? What are you going to say? What are you going to feel? Where are you going to go? You see what I'm saying? That's really what it is. It's like you're a machine. You see, you can't do anything. God filters constantly into what your witness, what He wants you to think and wants you to feel. And why? Because He wants you to choose. God determines your Nestorian. Nestorian means that your test, your trial, at every second of the day, God determines. You see, how does He determine it? Not by screaming out from the Shemayim, hey, what are you doing? That's not what He does. He doesn't say anything to you. He talks through reality. He tells you what He wants by making you a certain way. Because He is the ultimate power. If God wants to give you an authority where to keep Shabbos, suddenly you'll find yourself with an incredible job that demands that you work on Shabbos. You see? If He wants to find out whether or not you'll keep Shabbos, if God wants to find out whether or not you're going to keep kashrut, He'll make you starving hungry, and the only thing in front of you is a tray for restaurant. Do you see what I'm saying? God doesn't say, hey, let's sit down here. Tell me, do you really want to keep Shabbos? There's no discussion, there's no conversation. You see? God makes reality, and suddenly you must choose. God gives you the taiva. You see? God gives you the desire for the money and for everything else. And He gives you at the same time the awareness to wait a minute. The Torah says not to do this. You must choose. God is constantly filtering for your being, your awareness, continuous states of what? Of feeling, sensation, desires. He's constantly moving you from one place to another. You see, you find yourself in certain areas, in certain places, constantly shifting. He's constantly shifting your business situations, and your marital situations, or your social situations, and your emotional situations, and your intellectual situations. He's constantly shifting this, constantly, so you'll find yourself constantly responding to thousands of things going on at the same time. All these things coming from outside of you. And you have the illusion in some way as if you're controlling it. That's a falsity. But why is God doing it? Because God is demanding choice every second of the day. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Do you see what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. And if you understand what we said tonight, if you understand that the essence of the matter is an illusion, you see, that this comes from outside, if that's what you understand, and if you understand that this illusion is created, that this is given to you for constant trials, you will begin to understand what you must do to pass it, that the essence of the matter lies in the I am and I want. It's in the choice, you see, and you will begin to choose what God wants. Once you understand that He is the reality behind it all. You see what I'm saying? That's the way tzaddikim think. That's the way very great men, tzaddikim, think. In this way. They know this. They realize it. They're not fooled for 1 second. You cannot be a tzaddik. You cannot be a Yirei Shamayim. You cannot fully relate with God unless you understand what I told you tonight. Because this is one of the greatest illusions perpetrated on mankind. That's it.
Say one quick thing? Yeah,
yes.
what he was
What? I said yes. I'm sorry. One thing